Live from Moscow, this is RT. Welcome to the program. Well, after their rapid advance, Libyan rebels are now being pushed further back from the outskirts of Colonel Gaddafi's hometown. There are reports of a heavy bombardment and gunfire being used by pro-government forces, despite claims that a ceasefire is in place. RT's Paula Sleer now reports from Tripoli.
There have been airstrikes overnight and into the early hours of this morning, Tuesday, here in the capital city of Tripoli. The targets were both military and civilian. Now, we are just hearing reports that in terms of the fighting on the ground, the front line has been pushed backwards to the city of Bin Jawad, away from the city of Sirte, that is Gaddafi's hometown. We are hearing distressing reports, though, from doctors inside Sirte. They say that they have been treating hundreds of patients, Libyan soldiers who have been targeted in these coalition airstrikes. The doctors saying that many of them have lost limbs, they've lost arms, they've lost legs, and they have deep shrapnel wounds to their heads. The doctors also saying that it's impossible to determine how many people have been killed in these airstrikes because many of them have died on the sides of the roads and they've then just been buried there. Now, the rebels are suggesting that if they cannot break through Gaddafi's defences in Sirte, they will work their way around the city to the city of Misrata. Misrata is the third largest city in this country. It is the last and only rebel stronghold in the western part of this country. We still, though, continue to hear reports of intensive shelling, of intensive fighting taking place there. In the last 24 hours, 8 people have died in Misrata. More than 24 have been injured. A group of international journalists was taken there a few hours ago. And although we were prevented from actually reaching the city centre, from the outskirts, it's quite clear in terms of the destruction and devastation. There was broken glass from windows of buildings, bullet holes in the walls of those buildings. There were a number of burnt-out civilian vehicles as well as burnt-out tanks. Certainly people here are encouraged by the latest reports that the rebels are actually being pushed backwards. Yesterday, Monday, the city was in a state of fear. The early reports actually suggested that the city of Sirte had already been taken. The city is essentially in a state of lockdown, in addition to the impending fear that residents might that the rebel fighters might make good on their promise to actually march on Tripoli. There are here growing shortages of fuel, of water, of food. We've seen queues of people, not only in the front of petrol stations, but also in front of bakeries, supermarkets, and other such stores. It is understood that Tripoli is not only a strategic important city for the rebels, but it has great symbolic value. It certainly is something that is incentivizing the rebel fighters to march towards Tripoli, and because of that, residents here are rallying around their leader Muammar Gaddafi, and certainly they are increasingly alarmed by the reports that this front line keeps getting pushed.
RT's Paula Sleer reporting right there. Well, meanwhile, in the rebel stronghold of Benghazi, opposition fighters have expressed their joy at the gains on the front line with gunfire. RT's Yegor Piskanov has been gauging the mood in Libya's second largest city to bring us this report.
The entire city of Benghazi, the rebel stronghold, and the entire east part of Libya are all monitoring the situation out there on the front, and of course especially around Sirte, Gaddafi's hometown. But even though that the rebels have not been able to gain control over the city, still the spirits are pretty high. In fact, the opposition does say that they do understand it's not going to be easy to fight and defeat Gaddafi's regime, and they say that they are ready to do whatever it takes in order to achieve that goal. They were able to retake control of most of the towns that they've lost to Gaddafi's forces just a week ago. Everybody believes in the revolution. In fact, every time there's some positive news or even some positive speculation of possible victories out there on the front, we hear these gunshots being fired into the air as a sign of applause and support of the revolution. The ultimate goal is to get rid of Gaddafi's regime and to establish a new order in the country, and the opposition says that this is going to be a democratic country. In fact, they're stressing that they do not want any third side to tell them what sort of a system will be here. They're saying that it's up to the Libyan people to decide what to do with Gaddafi and his family and what kind of regime they want here in the country. They do say that they are ready to listen to some advice coming from the West, from Germany, France, and Great Britain. So far, it seems that here in the east part of the country, the opposition is in full control, and in fact, the rebels have organized an interim authority body here, and they're now dividing responsibilities among one another when it comes to various spheres of life, from the economy, industry, and police and law, and etc. So they are establishing more control here in this part, and once again they're saying that it's only up to the Libyan people to decide what to do with the entire country after Gaddafi is gone.
RT's Diego Pisconov reporting there. Well, meantime, a select number of foreign policy heavyweights are gathering in the UK to outline